Good evening. My name is Marielle. I live in Florida. I'm a United States citizen and I didn't vote this year. So, in honor of my spiritual father, Apostle Guillermo Maldonado, I must acknowledge the fact that he does educate us, his spiritual children, that whenever we choose to minister to someone, we must minister to someone who fits in our ethnos. By definition, ethnos is cultural group. I say that to say that I am aware that Apostle Guillermo Maldonado has ministered to you and prayed over you, and by that definition of the ethnos part, it doesn't fall into the meaning. So I'll take it that he means that we should minister when we're trying to spread the gospel, that we should minister to people we have things in common with. So I don't really know much about the apostle. I do know that he is part of the Republican Party and that he is a man. That's much better. So with that being said, I would say that what you and him have in common are those two things. Him and I, what we have in common is that we're Christian. I'm not sure about your salvation, President Donald Trump. I am hoping that if not already, that today that I am able to minister you to become a follower of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. So what my apostle and I have in common, my spiritual father have in common, is that we are obviously both Christian and that we are both Hispanic Latino. I am from the East region of the island of Hispaniola. So just from the wording itself, that makes me fall into the Hispanic Latino category, and also that my native language is Haitian Creole, meaning that being that Creole is a derivative of French, and that French is a derivative of Latin, similar to how Spanish is a derivative of Latin, that would make me fall into the Hispanic Latino category, even though my skin is deep, beautiful, dark brown. So what you and I have in common, Donald Trump, I was reading on an article in Britannica that you, like myself, is grieving the loss of your brother. We were also both born in June. We are both married. I am Marielle Christ. I am Jesus Christ's wife. We were married March 15 of 2024. We are both sober. We both live in Florida. We have both had our dealings with the judicial system. Part of when I was a juvenile, truly humble under God. We both have our education in the STEM field, and we are both Christian. Hopefully, if not yet, then definitely by the end of this video. In Jesus Christ's name, I pray, amen. So, I was planning on attaching a proof of my run-in with the judicial system, but due to digital footprint, I cannot shoot myself in the foot like that. So, I am not racist by any means at all. When I was little, I used to self-mutilate, and so it was so grave and extreme that they bought out the big guns. It was a wonderful doctor who basically informed me and basically helped me and counseled me to stop being angry by what people say, because just because they say it, it's not like they're injecting thoughts into my mind. So therefore, just because they're saying it, that doesn't necessarily mean it's true. I say that to say that I was baptized by the Holy Spirit by Peter Pagan, which I'm not sure if he is still connected to King Jesus Ministry, but I consider him my primary contact for why I'm still so strongly connected to King Jesus Ministry, which is Apostle Guillermo Maldonado's church. Peter Pagan on Instagram is Not So Pagan Pete. He was the one who was ministering the service of when I was baptized by the Holy Spirit. So, keeping consistent with the fact that I'm not racist, I really hope that you are well, President Trump. So, I know that you really like to eat McDonald's. I do too, so I hope that you trust, I'm not sure if you really do or not. Maybe you have some sort of economic contract with them. So I'm not sure if you really like to eat their food or not. But I really do hope that you are well, and I'm so happy and glad that the attempts to murder you were unsuccessful. In that regard, we need you to be healthy for our country. So I recommend that you buy this electronic book. It has some great recipes. My favorite so far is the smoothie called the Cinnamon Tropical Twist. It is delicious. You have a great burden, not necessarily burden, but duty as the president. And if you are watching this, I hope that you that God pours the grace on you to fulfill this great task. I shared the story about my criminal past because I don't want you to think that I'm judging you when I say that I do judge you based on what you stated about the Central Park 5 young men. It was quite inhumane. And that will be one of the titles of my upcoming videos, that God will let your inhumanity be your downfall. Not necessarily you, but any living, breathing human being. If they choose to be inhumane, that will be their ultimate downfall, despite their success in life. I say that to say that your stance on having those innocent young men who granted, at the time you thought that they were guilty. That goes to say that you even stated yourself that you would usually grab women by their private areas. So it's very hypocritical for you to have even mentioned that, knowing what you do. Not even that specifically, you probably did more grave things behind the door. That if you can go on and say that publicly, that you grab women by their front areas, who knows what you were doing behind closed doors. Not to say anything, I'm just letting you know that that was not cool at all. Not to say that you ever did any of those things. I'm just saying that that was not cool at all, and I completely denounce you for that. With that being said, so you do have a great opportunity to make a big impact and use your presidency to secure your salvation. And I sincerely hope that you do, because if you're watching this video and if you see it and you completely disregard me, I know that it's because of my skin color. And that's why Jesus had to make me black, to test the hearts of people who are racist. One moment. I went to go look for my Haitian passport. I couldn't find it. But when I say make me black, I'm talking about specifically the fact that I am Jesus Christ's wife. You did it. You won by the help of Elon Musk, who was jumping around the stage. You have a responsibility. I was gonna have my Haitian passport out so you can look at the profile of the person who will fit. So you can know what the profile of the person needs to be for the project for the next 4 years, not just Project 2025. So you did it, you won. So I say that to say that, as you know, it's the hardest task for a rich man to get into heaven. So now it's time for you to fight for your spot to get into heaven. So there needs to be restoration and reparations for all of the inequality and iniquity that is going on, quality of life wise, for humans all around the world. So what needs to be done is that you need to pick 300 people and give them $100,000 each. Those 300 people will need to have an American passport, and they will need to have their original country's passport. In my case, I would need my Haitian passport, which I don't know where it's at, but I was born in Haiti. So we will take the 150 poorest countries and we will assign 2 people each. In my case, I'm fine if you give me 200,000 and let me handle it on my own for my country. But you will take 150 of the poorest countries and you will assign 2 people each. It can be, you can do 50 countries will be, you will choose 2 females. You can choose 2 females for 50 countries, 2 males for 50 countries, and you can choose a male and a female for the other 49 countries. I prefer to do it on my own though, because I already have my husband. So the next thing that this person needs to have, the quality, they need to be between the ages of 25 and 35. And then the next thing that this person needs to have is what you and I have in common, of course, is that they study in the STEM field. So this person will get this money in total that will cost, I don't know, the government, the billionaires. It will cost you guys 300 million. So cough it up respectfully, cough it up. And then what you will do then is They will be in those fields, of course, and then they will pledge to bring aid to their respective countries. And then what needs to happen is what they need to have as well is they need to have been baptized in the past, I would say 5 years, to be fair. I would put it at 10, but I'm at 9 years. So 5 years is fair. 5 or more. They need to have been baptized within the last 5 years. There are no other criteria, just those things. Of course, they need to be Christian as well. Good luck. Now addressing Keon Henderson. So Keon, I looked at your profile and it made sense. I stumbled upon your picture after I searched your name. Of course, I didn't stumble upon it. I researched your name. The picture that came up is ghastly, and the eyes that you have are very, very demonic. The only other eyes I've seen more demonic is one of my parents' children, and someone by the name of Kenneth Copeland. So I say that to say that's why Jesus had to marry me, his wife, who is Black as well, and Haitian, because you have said so many things against the Christian community. And also Donald Trump, we don't eat cats or dogs. I've never heard the dog part. I've heard the cat part, and I've seen one person do it with my own eyes. As far as like having the cat cooked, I didn't see them digest it, but it was some sort of internet like famous person that did it just because they wanted to be relevant. But I've never met anyone in person or seen anyone in person who has eaten cat from my country. And then what else? So it's fine that you say that. I just think it's funny that you saying that, and I'm really over here trying to be plant-based. So I'm barely rocking with chicken and beef, let alone what you said. Back to you, Keon. And you said that Haiti is experiencing this and this and that, this and this. Just be quiet. Just be quiet, please. I wanted to say the other word, but just for sanctification purposes, I won't. And keeping it respectful, I won't do that. The other thing that you said as well, and why I had to come up here with no makeup, I don't really typically care to explain what is going on with my skin. I have a skin condition called hidradenitis suppurativa. I've been recommended by my dermatologist to use bleach on my face just for cleansing purposes. So with that being said, I did use bleach before on my face. I said that I didn't, but I did because the dermatologist recommended it, and because it works to clean the skin. Recently I stopped because the spray bottle that I put it in, I guess the spray bottle, it was a cheap spray bottle, so the chemical of the bleach reacted with the plastic of the spray bottle. So I put that off for a while, and it wasn't making my skin better just because of the chemical reaction that happened. But I say that to address the second point that I wanted to address with you, Keon, is the point that you made about poor people. So in 2020, I encountered a young lady. Her name, I won't say her name, but she was blonde, Caucasian, and she was walking the streets of Miami. And as you know, I do my faith walks with God. She was walking the streets of Miami, And there was this African American older man that was trying to, she looked drugged already, but that was trying to use her for SW. This broke my heart. So I told them my story. And I got emotional because it broke my heart to see a young lady suffering through that, which goes back to the case that I'm not racist. As I was testifying, and I got emotional, she jumped and hugged me. I mean, my whole thing about me is that my mom never hugged me, and so everyone knows my testimony about hugs. So I could have jumped back just because I know my skin is sensitive, but I let her hug me, and she was not the cleanest, and her hair got on my face, and my skin went from ta-da to what it is now, and I'm still trying to get it back to where it is. And I don't even care to address people who have been sending subliminal insults my way, but I'm just giving you the testimony just to disprove what you're saying, that people shouldn't give their money to the poor. And I saw her another time later while I was walking, and she hugged me again and attacked the other side of my face. And it was just you get the point. So Keon, I don't know what to do with you. You're completely wrong. And I hope you really find God. Yeah, I don't even know what to say to you. You're absolutely, I completely denounce you in what you're saying and what you're standing for. Please seek wise counseling from other people. And I can give thousands of other instances where I have been blessed, and I can add that to the fact of why I'm standing here today and preaching with you, because who knows that God didn't bless me because I decided not to push Vicky off of me. Because God heard me when I was testifying about the fact that when I was grieving my brother, that none of the people in my church, none of the people in my congregation gave me a hug. So probably that was God's test of my heart. Because who cares who the hug is coming from, as long as it's a hug. So her heart, even though she was poor and even though she was in a bad situation, her heart was pure enough to hug me, and my heart was pure enough to accept the hug. So never ever open your mouth to talk about poor people and whatever the heck you were talking about. Please. Just step down. K-Dub True, please. Take it over, please. K-Dub True, calling on K-Dub True. And I have a new slogan. It was inspired by Dr. Ifatunde, or as some of you may know him, Dr. Umar. The first part was inspired by him, and the second part was inspired by Shu Make Way. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. So the first part says, I'm not upset if you're mentally ill, which comes from Dr. Umar. And the second part is, but God sent his cure, so take the Jesus pill. Shoemake Way mentioned the God pill, but I prefer to focus on the Jesus pill because salvation and your access into the kingdom is through him. So the primary focus is Jesus Christ. Well, with that being said, I'm not upset if you're mentally ill, but God sent his cure. So take the Jesus pill.